Hello. Yeah, you're muted. You're muted. I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Okay.
It's all good.
So y'all know I'm live challenged. So I'm not even going to apologize because y'all know what's up.
Exactly. See me, accept me.
Yeah, exactly. I am what I am. I hope that we're live. Let me just try to make sure that we're live. Yes, we are live.
Hello.
I just see the main page there. Okay. I think we're there. Okay. All right. So we are live. Hey, Miss Courtney, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am excellent. I'm very happy to be back here to continue with our discussions about turning the page. The mental wellness, living abroad. And so we're going to go ahead and jump right in the conversation. Before we do that, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Courtney Leak. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, licensed in the state of North Carolina. I'm a wellness curator, which means I create wellness experiences for people. I'm a therapist. I'm a coach. I'm a mompreneur. I'm an empowerment speaker, and overall a good time.
I love that. I love the mompreneur part.
Yes.
I
Because
definitely
it's a part of it.
It is. It really is. And you know something really honestly, from somebody who, my baby is, I don't know, 37, something like that. 37, I think. And it's still one of the most important, fulfilling things that I've ever done in my life was to be her mom. And so it is important. And it's important that, when we get busy doing all the things, the great things that we do, we don't forget that at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones, that is really going to matter. It's really going to matter, those relationships and those memories. And I was with some young people the other day. Young people can be young people.
Oh, young people are great.
Yeah. But the preteens and the teens.
That's where I am right now. That's where I am.
Yes. But you just got to take yourself back.
Right.
To when you were that age. And then the other thing that I think, because I'll be 60 next year. Okay. The other thing that I think is there are some women, older women that I met in my life as a young person who I do not feel fondly about. And I don't want kids to see me, in that way. So we have to be patient, even those that are not parents anymore.
Exactly. And I think we have to respect that people with different contexts have different perspectives. And just because you're raising someone doesn't mean their context is the same. Hopefully it's not the same, because hopefully you're doing better than what you experienced. But they're going to have their feelings based on their context. And so even though you're doing better than your parents and they have this different life, that doesn't mean they don't have things they wish were different. They have big feelings about, they don't like that you do, and they get to have their context as well.
Yeah. So it's all very important in the legacy that we leave, no matter what we're doing. So, right now we're living in a space of being Black expats. And I mean, just from a personal perspective, could you ever really see that for yourself, like, years and years ago?
Oh, no, definitely not. I mean, as a therapist, I was doing therapy in an office. Like, people came to me. I did travel to people. I traveled to retreat centers and things of that nature. But my regular day-to-day job was going to my office and having clients come in face to face, which I really enjoy, especially as an experiential therapist, because I like movement and action. Face to face is preferred. So it wasn't until COVID happened and I was forced to adapt, that the adaptation really opened my eyes to other possibilities. But I had no clue I could do this before COVID.
Yeah, they but things have definitely changed. So today, we're going to be the turning the page is just about, dealing with our experiences as Black expats. I love talking to you, Courtney, because you qualify, baby. You qualify. I love
Yes.
talking to you because it's like you help us to put things in perspective. And we're all chartering new territory.
Yes. Yes.
So we kind of, whether we know it or not, we kind of need that. We need that
Mhm.
guidance, in addition to be able to have the community, and the soft landing that you get in Panama and some other countries at this point. You definitely need to make sure that your mental wellness is on point. So last time that we talked, and thanks everybody for tuning in last time. Thank you for your amazing feedback. That's why we're here again to talk to you. If you have any questions, don't feel shy to chime in. But last time we talked about how we present to other countries. And today, amongst other things, we're going to talk about how we present to each other, as Black
Mhm.
expats, and just some of the things that we can do to help each other thrive in the community. And so you go ahead, kick us off.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I had a conversation with a friend of mine here who really pointed out that being a part of an expat community has an interesting dynamic because it's more like a family than like our friend groups back home. Because in a way, we are forced to each other. Like in family, we don't get to pick our family.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you born to and whoever they born to and whoever they're born to, that's your family. And it's
Mm-hmm.
different. And if we're honest, a lot of us would not pick the people in our family to be our family if we had been given a choice.
Are we being honest today?
We being honest today. We just gonna start off honest. And so a lot of times expat communities are the same. They are people from different walks of life who had different perspectives, different experiences, people who you might not necessarily have gravitated towards back home. And now you're in this group together, making it work because of the similarities and how important it is to have people who look like you and have similar experiences in your life. And so that's an experience. And I don't think I was aware of that until I became an expat. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna be with the Black people. But Black people, like all other people, are not a monolith, and we're different and
Exactly.
we're diverse and we
Exactly.
are infinite. And therefore, we're a forced group in some ways that then have to learn how to be in family and relationship, even though we might not have chosen each other for sure.
To be in family and relationship in this unique way and without all of our support systems.
Right, right. And so we need each other,
Yes.
we need each other.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's tough
Mm-hmm. You
and
think,
beautiful and beautiful.
yes, you think I think it's something that we can actually be helpful to other people who are considering it,
Mhm.
because we're just, we're forging ahead and we're learning as we go. But if you think about it, in life, wherever you came from, wherever you were,
Mhm.
living at for a long time, you had your family there, you had your friends at work, you know what I mean? You
Mhm.
already had all these social networks set up in different
Right.
areas. When you come to a new space, it's new. You don't know the language, in this
Mhm.
case, being in Panama, you probably don't know Spanish when you get here. The culture is different, the customs are different, the people are different.
Mhm.
And when I think you see somebody who is like you get more excited than you would if you just ran into them in the US.
Right,
You
right,
know,
exactly.
so I think that it makes it a little bit different. So then, as you start to settle in, as you
Mhm.
start to settle into this expat life, you know, thinking about some of the things, and I'll just hop right in the sense that I've been approached a couple of times about TV series, okay?
Mhm.
And, neither one of them led to a pilot or anything like that. But what I like about it is that it caused me to come up with different scenarios. And one of them caused me to discuss what are the dispute resolutions. for Black expats, and in my case, living in Panama, and what is like the major cause of conflict. Now, you would think, I would think that answer would be so and so was looking at so and so's woman or so and so's man. I mean, I think that's what I would automatically assume, because a lot of people come unaccompanied. So there are a lot of single people, you know, making moves as expats and everything. And then if you have not been to Panama and see the beautiful people, there's a lot of pretty and handsome going on up in here. Okay? You know, it could be, if you got somebody with a wandering eye, you know, it could be hard. You might have to run around in sunglasses all the time. But, you know, believe it or not, that wasn't what I found. Now, I, you know, started Black Expats in Panama in 2019. I've been coming to Panama since 2004. I've been a full-time resident since 2021. I know so many Black expats in Panama, up close and personal, because they have come through the Black Expats in Panama group. Right. And when I tell you the truth, the main issue of conflict here is business. It's business. And, you know, like we were discussing earlier, it really probably some of the issues that take place, it's not really different than things that occur in the States. But in the expat community, the community is so small, you know, the dynamics are so different. Your options are so limited that it takes on another meaning. So that was one of the things that I found, you know, found to be the most thing that causes conflict. And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I absolutely, to circle back to your point, don't think it is a Black people or a Black expat thing. I really think that we are modeling the business models that have been given to us, which have been conquer, smash, conglomerate, take more than you need, capitalism is king. Like, a lot of us, that has been our experience of business people, either people that we know in business or how we've seen the larger companies operate. That's why we have anti-conglomerate rules and things, because people were always squashing out other people. And so we have to recognize that that has been our model. And until we learn something new, we will naturally take on what we've been taught. I definitely also think that we as Black people have often experienced lack and not having enough. And the anxiety, the neurobiological anxiety that comes from living in lack. We talk a lot about the crab in the barrel, and I use that analogy as well. But I remember one time my cousin said, the problem with the analogy is that we don't own the fact that the water is hot. The reason the crabs are trying to crawl out of the barrel, if you've ever seen crabs try to get out of a barrel or a pot, it's because they're in boiling hot water.
That's good. I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, we're in self-preservation mode. You know what I mean? Crabs live in the water. They're not crawling out of the ocean. They come out, they get their food, they go in and out. Crabs don't behave that way until they're placed into captivity. And so we're not really owning the systemic piece of it, which is one of the ways that the powers that be keep us infighting. They give us these analogies and concepts without owning that this is a response to the unhealthy environment that people have been forced into. And so once we realize what that is, we then have to be accountable to how do I participate in it? And that is the part I think people struggle with. They can own what got us here, and they can own what other people are doing to them. But then when it's like, what if the people I done pinched and pulled and mistreated, and I'm justifying it because I don't like how they talk to me, or I don't like how they do a thing, and I don't want to own that I am showing up in the exact same system in the way that I was taught. That is the part that we need to own and then do differently.
And you're exactly right. And also to keep in mind, I think that the hot water is a great analogy. I've heard somebody else talk about the barrel. Like, don't talk about the crabs. Talk about whose barrel are you in?
Right. Who put
You
them in
know,
the
whose barrel are
barrel?
you in? So that's another concept or a way to put it. But staying on the hot water. If you think that it's hot water in an environment where you know almost everything, you know everything. You're in an environment where you have started from day one. You have been a citizen of the United States, and you have lived somewhere in the United States of America. Nevertheless, when you get in that barrel, the water is still hot.
Right.
So take that same analogy and put you in that barrel. Imagine how much more hotter that water is when you're in unfamiliar territory. You're in unfamiliar territory. You are in a place where, your native language is not the first language.
Right.
You're not particularly, aware of customs and culture like other people who have been living here all of their lives. You, as a foreigner, are limited from taking certain kinds of jobs.
Right.
So when it comes to crabs in a barrel and we start talking about trying to pull people back in and stuff like that, I mean, it takes on a whole nother level when you're here, because I really believe that it's nothing that is, I would say that a lot of times we go crabs in the barrel and we do revert to Black people. But I think a better and a bigger point is that it's a people thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Self-preservation is our natural instinct.
Yes.
People loved it. One of my favorite quotes is also Maya Angelou's favorite quote. I am a human being. Nothing human is foreign or alien to me. Those people who say things like, I could never do that. You lying. You just have never been in a situation that has asked you to do that. We are capable of any and everything in both directions. I'm capable of being a horrible person, and I'm capable of being an amazing person. And if I don't own that about myself, I'm more likely to step into places that I actually don't want to go. It's the people who aren't willing to look at their capacity that get themselves in some trouble, because self-preservation is a thing. And when the water is hot, I'm gonna do what I have to do to get the hell up out of the hot water.
Come on now.
And if I haven't prepared for hot water,
that part.
The word of the day, prepare for hot water, I'm more likely to do some ugly shit to get up out that hot water, because I'm getting up out of the hot water.
I'm finna not be scalded to death.
I'm not gonna, if I can help it.
I'm not gonna do that.
Exactly.
Listen, you might, if the water's hot enough, you might step on your kid.
Yeah, literally.
And look, I'll reach back for you.
Exactly.
Mama coming back.
Exactly.
Okay. But I think, again, the word of the day is prepare. And I like to say, it's preparedness that is going to really ensure your success as an expat anywhere. And unlike, the United States, I think a lot of these countries that we're starting to blacks it to, they have protections in place for their citizens. Like I said, I don't know. I have a Black dentist back home in Woodbridge, Virginia, Dr. Wright, give her a shout out. Rita Wright, yay. But that's it. The rest of my doctors are chosen by the military, pretty much, and none of them are American. None. So that doesn't happen in Panama. You're not going to, you got to be a citizen of Panama to hold the position of doctor and whole lot of other, at least 25 different occupations, okay? Other than that, you can have a corporation, you can get by that way sometimes, and then you can go through the whole citizen process, which I know very few people who have actually done that, okay?
Right.
But at the end of the day, when I go back to the producer that asked me, why do we have conflict? And I had to say, it's business. It's business. It's because people are moving into other people's lanes. Okay. It's because when people come and you're not prepared, and this is general. I see it a lot. If you're not prepared, people come to an international space and they got a lot of money in their account, especially those that have like just sold a
their
house.
house,
Man,
sold their things. Mhm.
don't let the 6 figures fool you, because it dwindles
Fast, fast.
fast. By the time you make even if you don't bring everything with you, there is expenses
Yeah,
related to making that international move. And
absolutely.
then you go to a place and especially for those that come here and figure they're going to ball out because they can get a penthouse on the beach for $2,500, and comparing it in their mind, it would be $6,000, somewhere else. Nevertheless, that $2,500 is going to come out of your account every
single month. Right. And it's $2,500 going into your account. And let's be honest, it's $4,000 going into your account, $5,000 going into your account, because $2,500 should be a portion of what's going into your account every month.
Yes. So your money starts to dwindle. Then you get to the place where connecting preparedness to mental wellness. If you're not prepared and you start to see that your money is dwindling, and then you start to look around and say, gosh, I can't do what I used to do in the States. What am I going to do? Your money is dwindling. You got to figure something out. You don't have a plan. You haven't made connections. And then you start feeling maybe depressed. So you might suffer from depression for not being prepared. You go into the point where then you're having to decline all these, oh baby, the expat social calendar is crazy.
It's crazy. It's something to do every day, all day.
Exactly. You got to have a budget.
Yes.
For that.
Yes.
Okay. Then all of a sudden you can't come to the events, because you're watching your money. Then your self-esteem starts to take a hit. Then you start saying, well, you know what? If I gotta go home, then I'm gonna be ashamed.
Yep.
I'm gonna be embarrassed. I'm gonna be embarrassed to go home. You don't want to ask for help. And at the end of the day, this is all because you didn't prepare. And then that's when you start feeling the heat. Getting back to that barrel, you start feeling the heat and you start looking around like, what can I do? And sometimes you don't have time to come up with a new thing. So you start looking at what other people are doing as opposed to tapping into your passion and paying attention the whole time. Like, what can I do here to bring value to the people?
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think what we don't consider, a lot of people, is that when we are stepping out of crisis, chaos, drama, trauma, struggle, pain, all of the above, something happens to us biologically. So when we are in a crisis or a trauma space, we shut down for safety. I don't know about y'all, but there have been times where I've experienced really scary things and I was so calm, so centered, because my brain is literally like, shut it all down, get out of the situation. So if you're living in that day in and day out, and then you go into a space where that is not your experience anymore, often what happens biologically is that all of the things that we had to suppress to survive flood up. You get a wave of exhaustion. You get a wave of feelings, sadness, anger, all of these things that it was not safe to feel while you were in the experience. And then we need to soothe those things. And so a lot of people come into new environments and they just want to have fun and they just want to explore and live. And if your bank account truly allows that, meaning if you are wealthy, let's say the word. If you are wealthy, if you have an abundance of funds, then have at it. But most of us do live in some financial boundaries. And if we are not being intentional with ourselves while we're soothing, we are going to find ourselves in some trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I can even share from my own experience personally. I had this plan when I first came here that I was going to take this sabbatical, right? And I was not going to work for 3 months. I told my clients, I had all this stuff. Carter and I are going to do these things. My son, we're going to do these things. And then when it was time to sell my house, we're moving furniture and my wall is warped and my floor is warped because a pipe I didn't know about had burst and had messed up a part of my house. And so here I am now, not able to sell my house as is, unless I'm going to sell it in like for a very reduced amount. So I had to put in some work. So I had to tuck my tail between my legs. And let's be clear, I don't even like that saying because I didn't tuck my tail between my legs. One of the things you and I talked about earlier is it's got to be okay to fail. It's got to be okay to mess up and make a choice and then be like, oh, that wasn't the right choice. I need to pivot. And so one of the first things I did was call my clients and be like, hey, I'm not taking the sabbatical yet. So if you would like to get back on my calendar, let me know. The second thing I did was I called my daddy who doesn't want me to move, my daddy who doesn't think it's a good idea, my daddy who gonna fuss and talk to me crazy, but my daddy who gonna write me a check.
Right.
I had to step out of my pride and my ego and say, hey, I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was. A lot of people mess up because they let shame keep them in a situation far too long, and then people can't help you. Because my daddy can help me a little bit, but he ain't wealthy either. So if I allow this to get terrible and then I need $30,000, now I'm stuck. But if I need this, and I'm able to say, you know what, this was a mistake. How do I pivot? How do I shift? How do I ask for support? How do I quiet the voice of shame and move into who are my people and what can I do? Then oftentimes you can come out of the situation. My house just sold.
Wow.
It just sold.
Really?
I thought it was going to sell. It was shenanigans. And so I had to uphold 2 households for months here.
Wow.
And so I had to be creative. I had to be honest with myself. I had to travel more than I wanted to. I had to do the things that allowed me to take care of me and my son to the degree that I wanted to take care of me and my son. But part of that is me not being ashamed that I needed to pivot and do something differently. And I think a lot of people are letting shame get them stuck.
Well, and I think too, if you're in a country like Panama, where family dynamics are so different, family dynamics are so different. It's like in Latin countries, it is like fully expected for you to come to the family for help. You know, but with the US culture, everything is so independent. We're so independent of each other and almost shamed.
Yeah.
If we're not, if you have not moved out of your mama's house, by the time you're 25 years old, you're a slacker.
Right. Exactly.
You're a slacker. That is kind of, so we got to come from that too.
Yeah.
Like that when you say, you know, it's okay to fail.
It's okay. It's inevitable.
Yes.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable if you're trying something.
And if you're not trying, then all of it's a failure. Let's be clear. Yeah, exactly. If you're not trying, then you're going to live a life of regret and feel like a failure anyway. So I'd rather fail actively than fail because I never tried anything.
Yes. Sharon says, yes, we learn and gain strength from failure with action. And she's exactly right. And the thing is like, okay, the thing about failing, I think if we're honest, that all of us have the fear of failing. I mean,
absolutely.
What's the fail?
Right.
However, the winning part. Baby. Yes. You know what I'm saying? If you don't if you don't risk the failure, you will never know whether or not it was a win.
Right.
I'd rather go to my grave and know that I tried and that didn't work, rather than know I didn't try and never know, whether it'll work. And a lot of times I'm a serial entrepreneur. This has been my life. I've always had a job up until later in life, but I've always done something on the side. And at the end of the day, whether or not those side hustles have been enough to sustain me, is oh God, not what's the word?
It's based on a
Regardless,
bunch of,
it doesn't matter.
it
It
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter because you know what? All of them did taught me something that I'm using today.
Exactly.
Taught me something that I'm using today for sure, for shizzo.
Yes. But I think kind of going back to what we were talking about, when you said, you know, we really need to be building out of our passion. If I've allowed myself to get to the place of lack, of shame, of fear, I'm not prepared, I don't want to fail, I'm not tapped into my passion at all. I don't even know me because I'm so stirred up. I'm not even sure who I am. And so we're not going to build from our passion from that place.
Exactly. And let me just say this. Professor LCH said, Courtney just made me mad. LOL. She said, I may have to let my daddy, who talks to me crazy, help a bit.
Yeah.
It says it'll help me, and it'll help me with the issues because he helped raise this independent daughter.
Exactly.
Says, we have forgotten the interconnectedness that our ancestors understood.
Yes, exactly.
That's a sermon right there.
Which is why that same daddy of mine who fussed wrote the check.
Yes.
He didn't let me fall though. Yes. He's gonna fuss. This is what I'm telling you. You sure you want to do this? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, Dad, I'm sure I want to do this. I'm still standing in my truth. I understand what you're saying. You're right. I should have waited till the house was completely sold. I 100% agree. I need X amount of dollars. And he was fussing and writing. And here I am still in Panama.
That's right. That's right. And thriving.
And thriving.
Congratulations to
you. Thank you.
And it's like, you know, honestly, I feel like relationships like the one that we have forged is just what we need to be doing. I met you came on my Beat Cultural Relocation Tour, you know, and we had a big old like kind of reunion, Zoom reunion, which I'm gonna put online and let people who had left the tour and had questions or just wanted to come back and ask more come. But to establish those relationships, you supported my business. Okay. And I appreciate that, you know, and then you start thinking, okay, well, you know, I have an audience, you know, Black expats in Panama and Black expats in a lot of other places too. And when I'm thinking of ways like, how can I bring more value to my audience, to my family? Because just like you said, we family, right? And then you think of, oh, that's right. You know, Courtney is a licensed clinical social worker. That is what you call synergistic.
Yes.
Those are synergistic relationships. I'm not competing with you.
Right.
You know, I'm not competing with you, but you're helping me and I'm helping you.
Right.
And we're building something great for Black expats and others. Black expats who are here, Black expats who are other places abroad. And guess who benefits the most from this?
Right.
The people who are thinking about being Black expats.
Right.
You know, I mean, if I never really had the whole education of being a Black expat. Back when I was coming through and doing that whole thing, it just wasn't this kind of thing, right? But if people can say, look, those are people living there. Those are people living in the international spaces. And this is the advice that they give. How much more can you succeed knowing people are giving you honest information?
Exactly. Yeah. But I will say, Charlotte, part of what you're speaking to requires a level of wellness because we match at our level of wellness. And so synergy also happens at your level of wellness. So if you are unwell, you are going to match with unwell people. Those people who are always like, I got a bad picker. I just always attract these people who use me up. You need to look at where your codependency is. What is it about your unhealed self? Are you someone trying to fix a wound of abandonment or a wound of trauma by picking people who ain't gonna serve you, ain't gonna do right, and trying to fix them into loving you? That makes you just as unwell as the person asking to be fixed. So we also have to be doing our work and making sure that we are healing our wounds so that we are attracting at a healthy level so that the work we do together will come from a healthy place. And that's where a lot of people mess up. They meet somebody like, oh, you cool, you got a good idea, I got a good idea. Boom, let's do it. And then both of y'all crazy as a soup sandwich. And then the situation turns to shit real quick. And then you're like, what happened? Y'all not well. Yeah. You're not well. And so that's how it's going to come in. The energy is going to come in unhealthy as well.
People come to me with a lot of ideas, and some of them are good. And some of them, it is definitely a wait and see. Okay. It's like what you talking and what you doing.
Right.
Because talking and planning and being, enthusiastic is one thing. But actually, being able to work with people, when the rubber hits the road kind of thing, let me know how that's going before we get all entwined.
Right.
But going back to like from the business perspective, because that is most of the conflict, I think being ways to avoid that. And I think ultimately we ought to be dealing with solutions. If we're not dealing with solutions, we're part of the problem. So I feel like my humble opinion is that some ways that we can deal with that so that that is not what is the major contention or reason for dispute amongst, Blacks living in not just Panama. I'm sure it's whatever, because it's a human thing.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to the expat experience, because of those extra layers that we talked about earlier, I think number one is to prepare. Back to prepare. If you are not still working, now if you're still working and you got your regular check coming through, all right, and you're living in another country, you probably didn't move to that country because stuff is more expensive.
Right,
so you're probably in a good place, okay?
Right.
If, some of the reasons that create contention is because you need money, then the ways to prepare for that is to prepare for that.
Right.
Make sure that you know what the cost is. Make sure that you know how easy it's going to be to work within your profession. Make sure you know how easy it's going to be to work, period.
Right.
Not even in your profession.
Right.
What is your ability to make any money?
Right. If you lose your job, what's your plan?
That's it. What is your plan? And if you don't have that plan planned out, the best thing to do while you got those 6 figures still in the bank is figure out what that plan is. Okay. Figure out that plan B. Okay. And I think figuring out that plan B is definitely connecting with other Black expats, other foreigners, and in this case, other Panamanians.
Yes.
I do a B2B network meetup. It's every second Tuesday, I believe, of the month. And we're into some refining right now with that program, but it's so important. It is so important because if you have an idea, it's easy to have an idea in an international space.
Right.
Because a lot of stuff that we just doing in the States and we've been doing in the States and it's our habit to do in the States that you think is a good idea. Listen, a lot of people in Panama or some other countries you might be in might be like, wow, that is amazing. Like the story I tell about my paper blinds. My neighbors went bonkers when they saw those paper blinds. So first of all, look around for opportunities.
Right.
What are some of the things that you know well? What are some of the things that you have a passion about that you could maybe implement here? What are the things that, what would be the steps that you would have to take, to be able to legally do those things? What are the alliances that you would have to make in order to successfully do those things? Who are the people that you need to meet? And then, so that is why the B2B is so important to me, because we have great ideas. we're in the best opportunity, around, because everybody complains that foreigners come to the US and they take over everything. You know, they running all the dry cleaners, they doing all this, they got the nail salons on lock and this and that. That's because they come with a different perspective.
And a plan.
And absolutely. And the other thing about them is they are cohesive.
Right.
Boom.
Now, I do think we have to sit with the impact of trauma on our cohesion. We were literally ripped apart from each other, and that cut is deep. And so it is a new learned behavior, and it starts in, when we were enslaved, but it also goes into when we tried to build things in segregation and those things were literally bombed. Like there's a trauma. And I wonder sometimes around, is there an unawareness of anxiety in our collectiveness at this point because of the ancestral trauma of our collectiveness? We weren't allowed to gather. It was unsafe to gather. Is some of what we experience when cohesion becomes hard for Black people a trauma response because we have lost our lives trying to be cohesive? We have lost our children trying to be in a collective. You know what I mean? And so we have to sit with, I have some things in me that cause me naturally to maybe want to push you away. And I have to override that. I have to acknowledge it's there, and then I have to override it because it was imprinted on me by trauma.
Yeah, I think you're talking a lot about accountability. And I think no matter what conversation we're having, accountability is definitely going to be key. And I tell you something, I definitely consider myself to be a boss chick. And you know something? You will never get a response out of me without me sleeping on it and praying on it. That's it. I mean, long gone are the days where I'm just going to act on it.
Right.
And I'm saying that as we know better, we need to do better. And if we are in an international space and we look at the opportunities that are in front of us, I think now is time. I think that, when you, like you said, when we tried to get together before and they burn it down, well, they've been doing that since way back then. What's the Tulsa? Tulsa, the worst. But really, honestly, it's been a new day burning down since President Obama was elected. I mean, President Obama being elected, I feel like kindled just a fear in the privileged.
Yeah.
And not even the status quo, the privileged. People are not going to give up their privilege.
Right.
That easily. If fear provokes us into so many directions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Absolutely. Because they have a self-preservation desire out of their context as well. You know what I mean? Billionaires want their billions because like the idea of not having their billions activates their self-preservation as well. And people will do anything to preserve themselves.
Yeah.
Based on their context. My idea of self-preservation and a billionaire's idea of self-preservation are wildly different, but they still have it.
By the way, Professor said sorry, Courtney, because she clowned you about your dad.
No, no, not at all. My dad is a character.
No, we just have fun. And Sharon says we're afraid of failure because we don't trust that we have the family, not just blood support. And guess what? It's the truth, Sharon. We don't. We don't, and we just do not. And some of the people who support you are going to be the people you least expect.
Right. Agreed.
People that support you are going to be the people you least expect. People like, I'm Black expats in Panama, okay? And people have said to me, why do you allow white people in your group? What? First of all, it's my group. Let's just be clear on that, okay? And second of all, I out of the mindset that everybody white out here is trying to hurt me. To be perfectly honest with you, more of the attempts at pain being afflicted towards me have come from my own people. So you're right. She's exactly right. We're afraid we're not going to have the support, not from our blood, and then not from the relationships that we make, or the people that we meet that aren't our blood, because we are a family. But that's okay. You know,
yes,
we
but
just
also
gotta
be clear, our friends and our family are not our customers. And a lot of times we are building things and we are wanting our friends and family to fund us, but those are not your customers. If my sister has been getting her hair done from her lady for 15 years, but now I want to do hair and I'm mad that she don't want to leave her existing relationship because she's my sister, she's not my customer. I have to step out and find my customer base. Now, my sister can support me by sharing my information. Maybe she can support me by doing a hairstyle and posting it. But if she want to go back to Susan to keep her relationship with Susan to do her hair, my sister don't owe me because I've got a new idea and a new thing. And I think for me, that was always a very clear understanding, because what I do, I can't do for my family and friends. It's ethically inappropriate for me to be a therapist for my family and friends. But I have found a lot of people struggle when what they want from the support they want is customers. And our friends and family aren't necessarily our customers, they're our friends and family. And so how are you marketing yourself? How are you making connections? How are you putting yourself out there? Because I agree with Sharon 100%. And I would add to that, we often don't trust we can do it. We want to do it. We desire to do it. We may even think we're good at it, but we don't believe in ourselves and love ourselves the way we say we do. And so we don't trust ourselves either. And so we're not putting ourselves out there with confidence and creativity and good energy as well.
Well, I'll say this, because I could talk a whole long. I've been, like I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Right.
And I agree with that. Listen, if you already have a realtor that you are in a relationship with, I understand that. If I'm your sister, your cousin, your boo, you know, and maybe your boo, you know, you might have to switch.
You might have to let go.
You might have to let that go.
Piece of your house.
Okay, because that's going to affect home.
Yes.
But you know something, I feel like I've been reasonable in the sense that I may not expect you to come onto my team, but I do expect you to share my posts.
Yeah,
let
absolutely.
people know that you.
Absolutely.
I mean, support comes in such, you know, little ways. And yes. when you talk about support, just sending somebody a message like, "Girl, I see you." You know what I mean? I appreciate what you're doing, and I want you to know that I'm here to support you. It means a lot.
Yeah. Really and we have to ask ourselves, did I ask for that? Because a lot of times what we'll also do, because we're nervous about it, is we post it and then we get mad you didn't share it. But did you go to your tribe and say, hey, y'all, I'm doing this thing and this is what support from you would look like? Can you post every time and share something I share? Can you tell 5 people about me? I remember I had these friends who they purchased an animal hospital. And one of the things they would do is send us weekly ways we could support them. They were like, hey, all our friends who are clients of the animal hospital, can you write us a Yelp review? Next week, can you write us a Google review? Next week, can you post? Like, they were giving us what they needed. So I wasn't trying to figure out how to support them. They told me how to support them. And that made it easier to support them. So are we giving people the tools they need as well? Because support looks different to everybody. And I can assume you want me to post, but I can be like, yo, I got 30 followers. I didn't know my post, my share mattered. But tell the people what you need. Use your words.
Again, you know, back to the Black expat situation. That's what we need to do here. That's what we need to do here. We need to communicate with each other. You know, what is it that you're trying to do? What do you need me to assist you with?
Right.
You know, and those kind of things. And let me ask the viewers, can you please share this? I don't know why I didn't get a reminder didn't come up like before, like when we were you that. I'm sorry, I kind of messed it up, but that's fine. But I just say that we're in a new place and we can do a new thing.
Right.
So
Right.
that's going to be
Yeah.
important. And the accountability, the
Yes.
accountability piece. And as far as us talking about this now, okay, so there are other things that happen between expats, and I
Absolutely.
think they're good things. Okay, and I want to touch on some of them too.
Yes.
Now, but one of the things when it comes to that one piece that I've witnessed is, I think that we're doing a new thing, and it's easier to move a hill than it is to move a mountain. So go ahead and address it now. Go ahead and address it now while it's like still new, while we're still like major pioneers in this situation and everything like that. And then we can squash it. And it doesn't matter what's happened in the United States. It doesn't matter what our past is. This is our future. Okay.
I hear you. You again are speaking from a place of insight and accountability and wellness that not everybody has. And so sometimes you really have to ask yourself, did I show up ready to heal, to repair, to own? Then did I trust the version of them that they brought me? And then I create the correct narrative and proximity based on the version they brought me, because I can come to a situation and be like, we're just gonna talk about it and we're gonna squash it. But if the person I'm having it with has decided to bring all of their trauma and they unhealed stuff and all their stuff to the table, my best efforts will not be met successfully. And then I have to say, you know what? I see you, I believe you, we're gonna have some space. I'm gonna let you do what you do. And then I'm gonna get back focused on the business that pays me.
So when you say it, I mean, I guess you got to meet people where they are. As a social worker, how does that preparation take place? Like, how does that actually start? How do you actually start to get ready?
To meet people where they are?
Because you say that I'm not, some people aren't there.
Right.
So if you're not there and you're listening to this conversation, so are you saying that the first thing is to say, you really got to be introspective?
Yeah, you got to be able to tolerate the truth that sometimes it's you.
Yeah.
It's not always somebody else. And even if it is somebody else, you play a part. The people who can sit in the discomfort of the truth that sometimes it's you are the people who can grow and evolve. But people who are only focused on what others have done to them will always be stuck. I have an activity for you. This is something I'm personally working through right now. You'll hear it called a lot of things, shadow work and all of this stuff. Really, all it is getting clear about your negative and maladaptive behaviors. So I started a list in my journal of my toxic traits. What's the weird shit I do? I love to fire off all my feelings in the text and then block you. So you can't respond. That's me.
Can't respond.
Right. So that's my shit. I feel all justified and right, and I fire off and then I block your ass and I'm done. That's my stuff. You know what I mean? I gotta own that. I can not speak my truth for a long time and build up resentment, and then I can either shut down or I can explode. That's my shit.
Yeah.
What is your stuff? What is your stuff? And so I've been writing that down. When I notice things, I start writing them down. One of my toxic traits is I can really medicate with suffering. You want to wallow? Oh, I can get sad about it. And what I know I need is to call a friend and go to Parque Omar and go for a walk and hang out. But I'm like, nope, I'm going to put on the saddest movie I can find. I'm going to cut the air on real low so I can huddle under the blanket. I'm going to order a bunch of food I don't need to eat, and I'm going to be sad all weekend. That's me. That's my stuff. So writing down, what are your toxic traits? And then where did you create that way of being? What is that connected to in your life? What part of your wounding are you trying to heal through this toxic behavior? go back to that age and figure out what did they actually need. So that wallowing comes from being raised in a family who could not handle feelings. And so feelings were always on me to handle. And so I learned how to wallow in my feelings quietly, because as long as I was quiet with it, then nobody would fuss at me for being too much and being sad. So what she needed was somebody to hold the reality of the feelings and help her work through them. And the good news is I also have that skill set now. And so now when I get that urge to wallow, I get quiet with myself and say, oh, what are we feeling? That feeling is valid, that feeling is real, and here's a list of healthy ways that we can deal with it. Unfortunately, the wallowing isn't one of the ways we can deal with it because it's not healthy, but we can do this. We can phone a friend, we could go for a walk, we could do some yoga, we can go out and listen to some music. Here are all the options we have, because now I am the adult in this relationship. It is my job to reparent the wounded parts of Courtney, who learned how to use that toxic trait. At one point, that was a really helpful skill for me because I didn't have the autonomy and tools I have now. Now it's toxic because I'm using something old that doesn't work in my new environment. But first, I got to be honest, what are my things? When is it me? And what can I do differently about that?
Well, I think that for me too, I'm the baby in the family. And I am every stereotypical thing you've ever heard about the baby in the family. It's me. Okay. It really is. And I think that for me, I'm very opinionated. I deal with my feelings. So it's not that, but I am very, 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 very selfish with my space and time. Very selfish with my space and time. And the last thing you want to do is ever just come up to my door without me knowing that you're coming, because this is not, it's not a good thing. And the other thing is that I can be very emotional. I can be very emotional. I pop off in a minute. This was the old me, because some of the things that you just said, the work, I've done some of it.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
And what I've learned is that when you're emotional, you do too much damn apologizing.
Yep.
I don't want to apologize.
Yep.
I don't want to be apologizing to people all the time. I don't like having to apologize. Because if I've done something wrong, one thing I am good at is owning my shit.
Right.
And everybody knows. I'll tell you, don't let the smooth takes fool you. You know what I mean? I've been around the way. Okay. And I don't have no issues with that. But I think that for me, being more patient and more open, and making sure that sometimes, even if I don't want to be bothered, that sometimes you just got to stop, because sometimes somebody else is more important.
Yeah.
That is something for me that I have learned, and put everything away. Don't, when they talking, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay.
I think we had a little weather blip. Is it me?
You there, Court?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's breaking up a little bit, but I can hear you. You keep coming back. Oh, okay. I can't hear you, but you're moving. I think it's coming back on.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, guys. No. I'm back. But anyway, so those are some of the things that we could do. Main thing you got to do is face yourself.
You got to face yourself. Look at yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I'm a firm believer that accountability is directly connected to self-love. And the
Mhm.
more I've worked to love myself and to see myself with compassion and grace, the more I've been able to tolerate accountability. Because those of us who don't love ourselves, we don't have room for your feedback about me. So when you say, because I already think I'm bad, I already
Mhm.
think I'm not enough, or I'm too much, or I'm useless, or I'm a failure, all these horrible things we say to ourselves, we don't want to admit we say. I already
Mhm.
think that about myself. So when you come in and be like, hey, you did this thing. Oh, you think I'm terrible. You think I'm a piece of shit. Whoa, whoa. I just asked you to put the dish away. What? I just said, I wish you would be on time. That's all I said. It's coming because you don't like you. So you can't tolerate anybody else's feedback about you because you don't like you. So the more work you do to love and like you, the easier you can hold. Gosh, I'm a really good person and I sure do be late. You're right. I can be better.
So tell me this. Let me switch it up just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So the work that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
the things that you find yourself, like you said, if you want to get into a funk, you're good at that.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna take it all the way. You're gonna eat
Oh
what you
yeah.
want, you're gonna cuddle
Mm-hmm.
up, you're gonna make the best of it, right?
Yes.
Tell me this, as an expat,
Mm-hmm.
compared to living in the United States, do you think you have more or less of those encounters?
Mm. So that's an interesting question because I think I too experienced when I initially came, I did experience that neurological like wave of emotion. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And so in the beginning, I think I was more tired than I thought I would be. I think I was medicating some feelings more than I thought I would. So I think I came in thinking I was immediately going to be different, but you take yourself everywhere you go. And so I think in the beginning, I definitely was experiencing more of that. However, what I do feel in Panama is more room. So as things have happened, as my neurological system has recalibrated and balanced because I'm out of that environment, I have felt like I've had more room to deal with the feelings that come as they come. Now, I also am a therapist who goes to therapy every other week. You go see me in front of my therapist screen. Like Thursday, my poor sweet lady who comes to clean my house came running because she thought something was wrong. I'm crying to my therapist. I was like, no, I'm in there. It's my turn. I'm good. I'm just healing. You know what I mean? So I do that work. I have good friends and tribe around me. But I think I have more room now than I did when I was in the States. Emotional room, physical room, like I just have more, I'm more expansive here. And so I don't experience those things as often because I'm healing them and because I'm not experiencing a lot of the stressors I was experiencing in the US.
Um, uh, um, Sybil, I'm about to mess your name. Sabangia. She was saying, not a soup sandwich, sis. So true. I miss Sharon. Such a good conversation. Thanks, Kim. And then Sharon says, you have to be okay with you to handle feedback positively.
You
You
have
do.
to. You
You
have
do.
to.
You do.
Yes. One of my things, like I remember I went on this trip with some friends and I know my capacity. And I
Mhm.
know that if I don't want to go do the activity and I go, my energy gonna be weird. And
Exactly.
so, and I'm not one of those people who, when I do vacations, I'm like, here's all the things we're gonna do. Come to what you want. But some
Mhm.
people want you to come to everything, and that's not me. So they wanted to go do something that I did not want to go do. I was tired and I was like, hey, I'm not going to go. And one of my friends tried to like shame me. She was like, oh, you terrible, you wet. You done came out on this vacation and you don't want to do it. She was going and going and going. I let her go. And then I was like, I can hear that. And she
Mhm.
was like, oh, I don't have nothing else to say. What is that? I was like, I can hear that. I can hear those are your thoughts of me. That's okay. I can hear
Mhm.
that. You're
Mhm.
right. I am choosing not to go. You're right.
Yeah.
I do not want to attend. You're right. I do not attend everything that we go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else? Y'all have a
Okay.
great time. I'm gonna take a nap because I know me and I love me. And so her opinion of me doesn't hit as hard because I already know what I struggle with and I already know that I'm a good person anyway.
Well, I think that for me, I think that when I first like broke and just was here permanently, or full time, I should just say, I found myself emotional. I
Mm-hmm.
was more emotional than usual. Um, but I really feel that I would have, like, sometimes I would just have moments of overwhelming joy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's what it was most of the time. I think that
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I made that move, when I finally made that move, when all the stress and the moving stuff, and oh my God, the psychological meltdown I had over all the
Mm-hmm.
crap I had in my house and didn't even
Right.
realize it.
Yes.
You know, just the excess of things that really bothered me. But
Mm.
and then when it came time, I was like, okay. And then I think when I got rid of all the boxes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm starting to settle in when my real furniture got here, and I started to feel more like I had the best part of my life in the United
Mm-hmm.
States
Mm-hmm.
here in my house here. I
Mm-hmm.
really felt at home. But then I just started reflecting.
Yes.
And when you start reflecting, it's like I noticed I felt different when I went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I felt different when I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just in a space of hallelujah.
Mm-hmm.
I just did not know how emotionally, oh God, just oppressed,
Yep. Yep.
oppressed. It was just such a heavy, I just didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know how heavy
Yep.
the US had gotten for me
Yep. Mm-hmm.
until I really left. And then when I started coming back, you know, every other like twice a month and stuff, I told my husband, I said, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave everything. You know, I shut down the business in Virginia. I have to go.
Right. Right.
I have to
Right.
go.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, knowing that I had to go, I think it was from flying to the US and then coming back, and
Mm-hmm.
just the energy
Yep.
that I would get when I hit the US. But I mean, I don't mean to be emotional, but
No, you
it was
good.
just when
Mm-hmm.
I got here and I realized this is my life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I
Mm-hmm.
just was overjoyed. And when I
Yes.
would go to bed at night, I would sleep so good. And when I
Mm-hmm.
would wake up in the morning, I would be so happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
said, I never want to not know this.
Right.
Whether it's in
Right.
Panama for the rest of my
Mm-hmm.
life, I'm not committed to Panama for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
I'm committed to my life for the rest of my life.
Yes, yes, yes. Because I was going to say that feeling you're talking about, sometimes it's your marriage. Sometimes it's trying to make yourself show up as a certain kind of family member that creates that oppressive, like weight feeling. Sometimes it's your job. Sometimes it's your children. You got to figure out what is creating that weight in your life and figure out how you need to move that around. And I'm not suggesting you leave your family. I'm not suggesting you abandon your children, but you're going to have to recalibrate those relationships. I am suggesting you try your best to find another job, because what I will not do is kill myself for somebody else to make money off my back. There are tons of jobs, especially if you're in the US. So I am suggesting that. Do it wisely, be prepared, but definitely leave the job. But just notice how you feel in the spaces that you're in. Do I feel safe? Do I feel calm? Do I feel seen? And if I am not answering yes to those questions,
Everything.
how do I shift the spaces?
Well, sometimes we don't even know. You know, sometimes it's like you're living in a dysfunctional family.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're living in a
Mm-hmm,
dysfunctional situation that you don't know is dysfunctional because it's the only
mm-hmm,
thing you've ever known.
mm-hmm,
Oh,
mm-hmm.
and then it's like when you experience something different, you
Right.
know, it's like you never want that to leave. I can remember
Mm-hmm.
the first time my big move away from home, I moved to Mississippi, which is where I met my
Mm,
husband. And I can remember that being my first solid spiritual experience. I
mm-hmm.
can remember when I hit the road, the main road in Biloxi, Mississippi, it was so clear. The
Mm-hmm.
Holy Spirit was like, this is where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And just the rush of peace that
Mm-hmm.
came over me. I was 29 years old with a 6-year-old and probably about $7 in my pocket.
Right.
So making a move, scared, doing
Mm-hmm.
it scared.
Right.
But the peace that came over me, baby, I had never
Mm-hmm.
experienced that.
Right. Right.
And but I know it now. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times people that have never experienced, that feeling of peace, or, when we get into a situation where, we ride down the road in the United States and we're worried because we see a cop behind
Yep.
us. That is just
Mm-hmm.
our experience.
Right.
That is
Right.
just our life. And it's
Absolutely.
not until you
Absolutely.
go somewhere else and you
Mm-hmm.
realize that, oh my God, I don't need to be scared because a
Mm-hmm.
cop's behind me.
Right. Right.
That it starts to really set in.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, I definitely think that there's that group of people, but I also know a group of people who have experienced it and then they gaslight themselves to staying in whatever the oppressive system is because they don't want to do whatever this is, scared, because they don't want to step out of it, or they don't think it's real, and they don't think they have the capacity to stay in it. And then they gaslight themselves back over and over again into the oppressive system, whatever that system is. And those are the people I'm talking to. Well, I say choose you, because you can do better with less if you're in peace.
Yes.
I promise you.
Peace is the new prosperity, babe.
Peace is the new prosperity.
You
yes.
heard?
Yes.
Listen, Sharon said, I don't answer the phone if I'm not in a space to converse with you from the place. Girl, I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really doing you a favor. Exactly. Thanks for putting this in words. You're exactly right. It's just like, and it's like, for me, when you're chilling, you're in your space, and then somebody come and hand you the phone. Here, talk to so-and-so.
Absolutely not.
I'm like, come on, son. I mean,
yes.
come on, I'm not in that space. And you don't want to come off, like she said, you better off not getting on that phone, because you bring in the wrong energy. Might really hurt somebody else's feeling, make them have a bad day. All for what? Because somebody else pressed their desires on you?
Exactly.
No. To thine own self be true.
Right. And I am a big one. Stop doing that to your kids. They don't want to talk to your weird aunt that they've met 3 times at the family reunion every other year. They don't know her. And they don't want to hear that story about how she rocked them to sleep that time when they were 2 months. They couldn't even hold their head up. People get shocked when they're like, oh, can I talk to Carter? And I say, let me ask him if he's available. And they're like, the child? Yes. The human being? Yes. Let me ask him if he has room to have a conversation with you, because I'm going to have an expectation for how he has that conversation, that he be present, that he be respectful. So let me ask him if he's in that space before I set both of y'all up. And sometimes he'd be like, Mama, I'll be like, hey, unfortunately, he's not available.
Yes.
And then you adult will have to build a bridge and get over it, because my child also gets to choose how he uses his energy as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So stop doing that to your kids. All my life, they would throw me a phone. Miss so-and-so, I don't know who this lady is.
Girl, look, my daughter, I'm not going to do it. I ain't going to do it because I know half the time when she's on the phone with me, because I'm over the top. Hey, Shada. She like, hey, Mom. I'm like, come on now. Can you just be a little bit more excited that I'm calling you? Mom, what you want? What you want me to do? It's just not who she is. She don't get on the phone and act all enthusiastic to hear you. So Shannon Campbell says, moving family weight is tricky because sometimes they don't know they are weighing heavily in your space at the moment. And then she says, the gaslight themselves back. Dig that.
Yes.
Gaslight themselves back.
Yes. And so one of the things I like to do, so I'm like you, my mouth is wild. And so I create these boundaries around how I give feedback, right? And so one of the ways that I do that, because I think you can say anything Not that people can receive anything, but I think you can say anything with kindness. And so with my family, I often use this formula. I start with something positive. I start with the love, like, Auntie, I love you so much. I love you so much. This is what I love about you. This is what I value in our relationship. And then I go into the I statement about how I'm feeling. However, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Whatever I'm feeling when this happens. So I feel frustrated when you call me and talk about my uncle that you've been in this unhealthy marriage with for 50 years. I don't say this part, but I feel frustrated to hear you suffering this way in a relationship you are choosing to stay in. And then I set my boundary. So, Auntie, I cannot be someone who listens to your frustration about Uncle so and so anymore. I simply can't do it. We can talk about baking. We can talk about what you saw on Essence. We can talk about the stories. Those are the things I want to spend our time together talking about. And then I end with positive, because I love you. And I don't want this one thing to hinder our relationship.
Yes.
What you've just done is put the weight down and stayed in the relationship.
Yeah.
Now, they may need time to process, but I should be able to talk to you about everything. I hear that that's what you need from me. And I need you to hear me that that's not something I can continue to provide.
And sometimes you just got to give them that time.
And you just got to give them that time. And they're going to come back because they love you too.
They will.
And when they start talking about Uncle so-and-so, just be like, Auntie, remember we talked about this. Tell me what you made for dinner. Move it over. Like, I'm just not going to hold it. Like, I'm just not going to. And I'm going to stay in the relationship.
Well, thinking about expat to expat relationships, and like I said, like I said earlier in the broadcast, when I was asked, and I really had to think about it, it wasn't no woman and man thing, girlfriend, boyfriend, got a Roman eye thing. It was business. It was business. We're in a different space. We're in a smaller community, and how you handle yourself business-wise matters. It's going to matter. So we talked about some ways that we could avoid, having those conflicts. And now I want to touch on the amazing positivity of having other expats here in Panama.
Yes.
Okay, because let me tell you, I love my people.
Yes.
I really, really, really do. I am one who knows the difference. If you have come into Panama, especially since Black expats in Panama, became a thing, and we started the tours and started, getting the community together and everything like that. If you was coming to Panama back when I started coming to Panama, you know the difference. I've been coming to Panama since 2004. And from 2004 probably to 2010, I found the receipt that I wrote out to Brisas the Golf, to this home that I'm in now, putting that we got for putting our deposit down on this place. And it was eight to 10 years.
Yeah.
Before I started really connecting with other Black expats. So I know the difference. The difference is a whole vibe. It is. The wonderful thing about Black expats in Panama is that you get to connect with people who have a commonality.
Right.
We are pioneers.
Yes.
Like or love or don't like each other. That is something that we have in common.
Right.
Black people have Blacks in it, maybe from one part of the country to another, back when a lot of people went north, from the South, people with money, mainly like performers and people who with esteem, they left a long time ago.
Right.
It's more common for them to leave. But for us, for me, Charlotte Hickenbottom Van Horn from little old Glassboro, New Jersey, to be doing this, I'm a pioneer.
Right.
And you're a pioneer. So we automatically have that in common. We're doing something that most other Black people are not doing at this time.
Right.
That's number one. So just connecting with somebody that has that commonality, connecting to somebody that, is going through the same process and experience, although our journeys are different, is so rich.
Right, right.
It grounds you
Yes,
to
yes.
your new home. Having Black expats here grounds me more to Panama.
Right, right.
But having Black expats here who, it is such, I come from the DMV. So in the DC area, it's all about who, where you work, what's your GS, what's your security clearance. And to be in an environment where we are here as Black expats, and those conversations about what do you do, they don't come up until so much later.
Right, right.
It's not what you do or what you did is not your number one characteristic here. Your number one characteristic is that you are a brother or sister who is doing the damn thing.
Yes.
You hear me? I love that. I love like she does or what she did. And I'm like, eventually, especially I'll be on interviews with people like, what anyway? But what did you do before you came here? Because it don't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Those are conversations to be held at the B2B. But right now, we just so glad to see each other and to connect. Right. The other thing that I like about, being a Black expat in Panama and my relationships with Black expats in Panama is that if you're ever feeling homesick, right, there's that person, there's that group, there's that community that when you say, get my children out of here, everybody's gonna know what you're talking about. You can say some shit like that to Panamanians all you want. They're gonna say, what? And that's fine. But every now and then, you just need to connect on an R&B song, or you get to connect on, and one thing I notice about Black people, we are very much into entertainment. Yes. A lot of our connections, I mean, like, oh my goodness, we are all about movies and sitcoms and music and entertainment connects us. So to be able to have those people where you could throw that out there and they catch it, it just makes it more like home.
Yes, yes. I agree 100%. I was in the ocean with some Black women on Wednesday. Somebody got stung by something. We all took off out the water. The men were like, what's going on? We were like, we don't know. She
Black
started
people
running out the water. We
know?
ran out the water. They were like, what? They were like, none of y'all spoke. They were amazed. They were like, nobody spoke to anybody. One woman started running. The rest of y'all started running. I was like, we'll ask questions when we get to safety. And it was Black women from different places, different ages, same response. They were like, that was wild.
Look, and I was like, see, we run.
We run. And I was like, but like once we all calmed down, then we laughed. We were like, look at that. We all ran. Look at it. We don't even know what's going on. It was just this moment within this, like, gosh, I get to be in this beautiful place. I get to have these amazing new experiences. And I get to be reminded about the beauty that is and the richness that is me at the same time. And what a gift.
What a gift that is. And in Panama, because in Spanish is the first language, learning together. We have cafe and conversation, shameless plug. We have cafe and conversation at 11:30 on every fourth Sunday in the city at Ivenia Hotel. Girl, look, we are about to celebrate 1 year. We had our first cafe and conversation August 28th of 2022. And it has been consistent, and to have people in the room and know that it's safe. Right. So when you get up there and you say "Come estás," and you got all your English accent into trying to say Spanish words, and ain't nobody laughing at you.
Right.
Nobody is laughing at you. That we are all in this together. Right. When you and another Black expat can get together and try to practice, speaking Spanish, we're disadvantaged.
Right.
Together. So we got to help each other to navigate these waters. We got to learn Spanish so that we can maximize our experience as expats here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's the togetherness, it's the camaraderie that is the greatness of the Black expat relationship. Black expat, the Black expat. Last time we talked about Black expats and Panamanians, or Black expats and the people, and looking at this relationship, I think it's just special. Yeah. I think that you end up with friends from all different walks of life. You know, it's like we're here, we're all ages. We're all ages. We come from all kinds of backgrounds. You know, some of us have small children. You know, some of us are entertainers. You know, some of us are retired. You know, nevertheless, when we get together, we're all Black expats in Panama, trying to make this new life for ourselves. Right. So we're somebody. We're with each other. And we know when I get emotional about the peace that I hear, somebody watching that from outside of this situation, you're not understanding. Right. The way that you do. Yeah. And the others that are in that space do. And we need that.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. So I think, let me see. Shannon says that she does let family dump their issues. She says, I do let family dump their issues on me, but I gotta protect my well-being. She said that's a good analysis. Yeah, Courtney is very, 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 very talented and skilled. You are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because, I mean, let's face it, all counselors are not created equal.
Facts.
I've had a few. Okay? I've had a few. And have you ever had a counselor that makes you feel like, you know, like sometimes counselors can just make you feel like they're up here. Yeah. They may not do it. They may not do it intentionally, but sometimes they do. Yeah. And I feel like you never ever get to that you never ever do that. And I think that, let me see if tell us, Courtney, because if we don't have any other like questions, if you don't have any other questions, then we can go ahead and close out. But I think that before we go, I would like for people to know what it is that you're looking towards and what you're looking forward to as far as building your business model at this time and how we can help.
Yes. So right now I am doing a lot of content on social media, just trying to give people more words. People often say to me, I wish I could put you in my pocket. I wish I could like have you with me as I go to these things. And so I'm trying to create a way for people to have access to the way that I say things just on hand. So I'm doing a lot of things on my social media. I'm about to launch, I'm taking a break in September because that's my birthday month, and me and my baby are going to the Galapagos, and then I'm going to Portugal, and then I'm going to Barbados. So don't look for nothing from me in September. But towards the end of the year, I really am big on how we release and how we let go and how we close out a year to get prepared to move into a new year. So I'm going to be doing some groups. So look out for those, some live ones in Panama and some virtual ones as well for people who are wanting to just do a deeper dive. And I really think groups are helpful because you can get other people's experiences as well. So look out for those. People are asking me to get a retreat together in Panama. And so I will look at that for the top of next year. And yeah, that's me. I do intensives, I do one-on-one counseling, I do a lot of things. And if you're curious about those, check out my website and also, reach out.
Yes, always can reach out. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited about our first release of our newsletter. If you didn't get it, send me a message and we'll get you on the distribution. I'm going to be trying to put that out more regularly now. We're working on a lot of things. We're getting ready to release our first book. That is like almost there. It's like we really worked it so that it could be really perfect for you. Our next events are August 3rd, our Cultural Caribbean Day. August 11th is the business to business meetup, the B2B meetup. And these are all groups on Facebook, and you can contact me for more information. But if you're here in Panama, and it's just a good thing to connect with the business community. That's August 8th is the B2B. August 11th is Single and Satisfied. And let me give a shout out to my girl, Deborah Landry, because Deborah Landry, because she created the next event. Then this event is going to be, it's called Pasco Culinary Crawl. It starts out at a cigar bar, then it goes to dinner, then it goes to dessert, and then drinks. 4 different stops. And she says it's all like within a 7-minute walk, a maximum distance or something. And it just sounds like a lot of fun. For all the guys that want to do the cigar thing, I think this is a great draw. I appreciate Deborah Landry and Ron Wilson for chipping in and helping me out with the Single and Satisfied. I really, really do. So that's going to be on the 11th. On the 17th, we're doing the pilgrimage, the Samat pilgrimage, that honors the Afro-Panamanians who lost their lives in the canal, and for the contributions that West Indian Afro-Panamanians have made to Panama. And then, but that's, I don't have any more tickets for that. But on August 20th, you can get our ticket. You can get a ticket from me for the gala, for the Samat Gala. That also is the culmination of a week of activities. And check the website for more of those activities during the day, during the week. But that's kind of what we got going in August. Look out for your newsletter coming up probably the first week of August. And listen, I just want to thank everybody. Okay, thank you. We don't have any more questions, so we're going to go ahead and close out. I'm having dinner with some couples tonight, and I'm excited about that because I'm really interested in a couples group. Sometimes couples just like, you need to have your subgroups. And that's another thing about being an expat. You have a whole group, but there's nothing wrong with having
also find your tribe.
You find your tribe. You find your type tribe, that's like a micro. And then you have the big group that you can be in. So I'm going to do that tonight. I'm super, super excited about that. And I'm also, in case you're out there listening, I'm looking for volunteers for a welcome committee. Okay. If you want to know more about that, holler at your girl and I'll let you know. And so thank you guys for joining us today. This will be available on YouTube and other places after the fact. In the meantime, I love you. I love you. I love you. And there's just nothing you can do about it. Charlotte Van Horn, Black Expats in Panama, signing off. Thanks, everybody.